First and foremost, Gino, how are you? We're officially removed from the Royal Rumble, ironically enough, freaking 24 hours and 37 minutes. How you been?
I am doing well. Yeah, it's this is our quickest turnaround between an event and breaking down the predictions, which are changed a little bit. We've got some money in one of our leagues here going on, so really taking this to the bank, if you will, making it really makes it more intense almost in a way, especially when we'll talk about one of the predictions and they had to be changed because of what was revealed on the pre-show. And then that makes more work for my man, the simple man, instead of, it makes it more complex, as we say. But yeah, I'm doing well. It's a little cold in Florida, so we're repping the Patriots hoodie until further notice, probably. So.
Well, yeah, it's finally going to start warming up a little bit here in Toledo, Ohio, so looking forward to double digits for single digits, but I get you there. And yeah, the fact that WWE decided to do a little trolling of their own and Virtue couldn't slay them in time, that's no longer going to be a thing, as these predictions will now be due prior to all kickoffs, and countdown shows going forward across all the leagues that I'm hosting. Shout out to those that are participating so far in the TNA and GCW league, and of course, stay tuned for the kickoff for the NXT league and the AEW league. But yeah, I'm doing fine, and things have been nice and mild here in Toledo, Ohio. Got the side door fixed, got my Mountain Dew, got my Ritz, and coming home from church, getting reacquainted in the spiritual side of what I need to be a better human being. Always trying every day. But hey, I keep it simple, but you have to deal with complex situations as well. You got to be flexible. So yeah, but I'm looking forward to this as always, because again, there's always such unique median when it comes to who was right, who was correct, not just between me or you, but the fact that this is probably one of the biggest pools in Team No DQ. To your point, we now have our own High Rollers League that does involve a little bit of a monetary gain for the winner, it seems. So again, to everyone that is involved in that league, including me and Gino, good luck to everybody. And of course, I will show the leaderboard later. But in case you all are wondering who's in this year-long Rumble, as we're all in the ring together, here are the names: Aaron, Caitlin, me, Michael Peters, Sean Golshaku, Dwayne Agasin, Dave Scheffler, Matthew, Colin, Oofman, Steve-O, Papagino, TJS, David, Gilbert, welcome to the league, and of course our own original big baller, Big G. So quite a pool that we're going up against, but I'm looking forward to this conversation regardless. So yeah, I think without further ado, why don't we go ahead and get right into it. Again, folks, for those that don't know, I basically book and guide and literally score on my own via Excel and macro formulas prediction leagues for simply predicting for professional wrestling. Dang it. And that being said, here is the overall picture from everybody. But don't worry, I'm going to break that down and make it a little simpler based on the matches that we talk about here. Nobody got a perfect score, but me and Aaron rode high thanks to a couple of unique wild cards that we put into our league. And there was some unique analysis when it came to people not being on the same wavelength per se with the right score. But overall, as far as the Rumble outlook goes, most people were pretty much on point. And then we had everything else. Let's be honest here. This show was 2 matches, maybe 3, and then there's Sammy. Because, come on, Sammy beating Drew. It's not John Cena, AJ Styles from the Royal Rumble, and then you face losing this chamber, with all due respect. Good to see City by the Bay as well. So, that being said, Gino, we got the men's Rumble, the women's Rumble, the 2 matches. Where do you want to begin?
Yeah, man. As we pull up that graphic, it can look a little overwhelming. So Noah and I are here to make sure that this is explained properly and so we can all enjoy. I think we should probably just go with potentially the match order. That might be the best way to do it. Make people wait for the end, and it kind of goes with the flow of the show and potentially the conversation. So that was the Women's Royal Rumble. Now, a lot of people think that 2 Royal Rumbles on one night's a little overkill. I think WWE is too afraid to have the Women's Royal Rumble host its own night. So we are a one-night event currently this year. Maybe next year they will change that, but we will see. Now, the 2 people here, we'll break it down at the end of everything right and everything wrong. But so we were betting on the first number 1 entrant, the number 30 entrant, and then we had 3 choices for 3, 2, and 1 point respectively on who we thought was going to win. So nobody got entrant number 1.
Dang
I'm,
it.
I'm interested to see 1, 2, 3, 4. I think EO. Maybe next time we'll get a count of what the most predicted thing was when they're in one of these bonus point situations. That could be many people, but
Yeah.
it looks like EO was the most predicted to start it.
Amongst the team, yes, only like 25%, but still was the most reoccurring name. And as you can see, other ones all over the board from Chelsea Green, who was mostly second at 3, the man Becky Lynch, and of course, other names that you can see.
Mhm. Absolutely. So again, nobody got that one right. It looks like people were thinking about how do we start off with somebody who's going to be entertaining, and whether it was Last Legend, okay, you're going to get a lot of eliminations. Lyra, good in the ring. Chelsea, entertaining. Bailey, good in the ring. Nia's going to be a lot of eliminations. Becky, good in the ring. Asuka, Maxine, Roxanne, people good in the ring. You know, they were. It seemed like there was either one way to look at it was who's going to be good in the ring and last a long time and give us a good entertaining show, or who's going to be doing a lot of eliminations. Now, we didn't get that so much in the women's rumble, but we got that style of rumble in the men's rumble, and we will get there. Now, again, nobody got that right. I picked Io Sky strictly because I thought that she's very over with the crowd. You want to start off with somebody that people want to cheer, and it was not, and it looks like you picked Becky Lynch. Any particular reason why you went with Becky?
I was literally betting on the fact that the man who literally was very vocal last year, how no one is on her level. I'm above this entire division. And of course, I'm scouting with Lara Valkyria's WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship. Was looking to make a point this year, especially when she announced she was going to be in the Royal Rumble. With the only long-term story right now on the Raw roster being her and AJ Lee, wondering when AJ Lee was going to return as well. I thought AJ Lee and Becky Lynch was going to be set up further through the Rumble. And of course, in case you're wondering who was through the Rumble, I was completely wrong. It's AJ Lee didn't show up at all. So I was thinking the man was going to run the course, keep a lot of the current talent down underneath her, including the Raw roster, as well as some NXT surprises, including some NXT names that I kind of was wondering if they were going to come in, and they did. As you can see, folks, there's your entire Women's Royal Rumble order. Charlotte Flair was actually the first one, also the Iron Woman this year. And they did pick up on the man and Charlotte Flair's former rivalry. Hell, they were the last two when Becky won that Rumble that year, of course, ahead of WrestleMania 35. But it was interesting how this Rumble really more so focused on women tag team dynamics and whether or not they're going to have a fallout or still coexist, including a fearless addition. We'll see if that's around for the long term. But yeah, it just felt like to me that Becky being the biggest star outside Mommy, Rhea Ripley, but as singles, I thought that her and AJ Lee were going to pick things up. Her and Becky was going to run the course. I was wrong. It was more a showcase for Last Legend, and Charlotte Flair was the Iron Woman overall, which kind of surprised me. But that's my intuition and my thoughts.
All right, can we just pull that graphic back up there, sir, real quick?
Absolutely.
So the spoiler alert: Liv Morgan wins. The Rumble for me was like a 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10, which was on par with my excitement level going into it. There were only a few things that I would have done differently. And right there at 29 and 30, I would have switched those. When you have somebody who's just a complete surprise, right? Like hasn't been there in a long time. Shout out to Dave. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Tiffany is part of the roster. We expected her to kind of be there. She wasn't really hurt. She was just taking some time off after having been champion and wrestling the most matches or whatever for a woman all year last year. But when you have Brie, like the crowd went nuts for Brie Bella. They were absolutely on their feet until the end of the match, until she got eliminated. But you have that surprise. That's what 30 is about. 30 is about somebody that you didn't really expect, but you kind of expected, but whatever. And when it was Tiffany Stratton instead of things like Paige, or instead of somebody like Bianca, that was akin to Rey Mysterio coming out at 30 and getting booed when it should have been Daniel Bryan. So I like Tiffany, and Tiffany, she's back, and that's great. And they obviously think very highly of her. They put her on the same level as Charlotte Flair. But to me, for the women's match, besides the whole, we're just going to have all the tag team partners kind of have their storyline continue, which whatever. Right. I would have gone Brie Bella at 30. If you're not going to have Bianca, you're not going to have Paige, there's so many people in your mind as a fan that you could be expecting or wanting to be there. So when it's just somebody who's returning from just like a vacation, not even an injury, it's kind of a little deflating. Fortunately, we had so many good spots and the women did great. And the standout was, of course, my girl, Lash Legend, who I predicted as soon as she debuted on the main roster that she's going to be a massive star. But I digress. Let's go to the predictions again, and we will see what happens. So you and Aaron got Tiffany Stratton at number 30. So no wonder why you're being a little upset when I say that shouldn't have been her. But it has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with the fact that you got it right and I didn't. But like, I just think the flow of a number 30, and we'll get to that when we get to the men's rumble, is just the way it should be done. There's no rule book, but I believe it should be done. Like if you've got a surprise or something, like I don't know. But it was fun to watch, and you and Noah were the only, or you and Aaron were the only ones to get that right. Everybody else was going like Bianca, a lot of Bianca, Bailey, Charlotte, AJ Lee. Again, that's somebody else that could have been in there. So when you're at 29 and it's Brie Bella, you're like, oh my God, are we going to get AJ? Are we going to get, and then it's Tiffany Stratton, who's great, but I don't know. And that could just be my own bias towards
I can
Rumbles.
see that, being your own opinion as well, because that is kind of what you expect. But talking to, of course, the ladies of No DQ, our own, of course, Caitlin Bella, hello, and her friend, her fearless partner. I guess she's kind of like Aaron mode, Aaron, Erin. She kind of was a little underwhelmed with the fact there were no surprises either. But it is one of those things now where you damn if you do, you damn if you don't. In Royal Rumble history, you expect two things. You expect nostalgia, you expect the unpredictable, and we kind of got a little bit of the unpredictable when it came to who you thought the winner was going to be, but you also felt like someone was overdue to be the winner, it seems. Again, Liv Morgan's been in every Women's Royal Rumble since the inception of this Rumble, since 2018. That's why I had to think she had to be a first ballot pick to win, but it didn't mean she had to be the Iron Woman. Tiffany Stratton, though, if it's not going to be nostalgia, I was going off the fact that Tiffany Stratton had one of the best years last year. She started Tiffany time cashing in Money in the Bank. Why not bring her back? Because SmackDown needs more depth. And I think Tiffany time, whether or not injury or not, it made sense for her to arrive on this stage, big pop. And I was right. Yes, people got a big pop, but Tiffany Stratton, I think she still was a little bit of a bigger pop because the world runs on Tiffany time. And it made a really cool end dynamic with NXT alumni against each other. And Soruka, by the way, talking about Lash Legend, Soruka, extremely impressive in her Royal Rumble debut. Let's definitely not deny that. Snatching a couple of souls, including the soul that NXT Women's Champion, and eliminating her. And it's just one of those things where I think Tiffany Stratton just made a lot of sense. It's being the right time to bring her back. And maybe she goes back after the championship, because Lord knows SmackDown needs some renewed depth. Other than that, a lot of the entries that did come didn't surprise me at all. You basically spoke about verbatim. Some NXT teasers on who could be in transfer portal pending. And it's literally the women's tag team division. So it is what it is. If you're going to replace a couple of names here, Selena. Why was she here? What happened to Jada Parker? Why couldn't we get like AJ Lee in that spot? Could you surprise us with Dakota Kai out of nowhere? Possibly. The Japanese trio mess with each other. Ironically enough, Julia, Io Sky, Asuka. That's not coincidental at all, right? I'm just saying. You got the Giants once in a while. Rhea, Raquel, and Lash. They were clashing. And again, Lash and Rhea had a moment. And then Rhea got eliminated by Raquel. Jeez, that was a nasty bum on the apron. But overall, this was a great way to show the depth of the roster that hasn't been shown to this degree since Evolution, or being perfectly honest here. And also, you saw Natty for the first time, so maybe they'll actually give Natty a championship. But either way, I just feel like literally this Rumble, it was run of the mill. It was basically a showcase. It wasn't about giving you nostalgia or surprises. It was about pushing Liv Morgan to that spot that she rightfully deserves. That's the way I saw it. But Tiffany was needed to be part of this, in my opinion. That's why I went for her last.
Absolutely. And I do want to address that, because it is one of the complaints that I'm hearing from the people at my watch party, from the No DQ chat, from our live chat right here. There wasn't surprises, right? Or a lot of surprises. I'm going to list some of the things that I found surprising, and that
Quote
was
unquote.
Natty coming out with new music finally, right? We didn't have that. We obviously had Nikki Bella, who was not rumored to be there at all in any capacity. Say what you want about Nikki Bella, and I will fight you if I don't like what I hear, not you necessarily, Noah, but we respect Nikki in this household. And then still we had Nikki, and nobody really was thinking, like, I mean, maybe you thought in the back end, maybe we have Brie, probably not. It's okay if she doesn't. And then she comes back, and the crowd is electric. There's no roof anywhere near that stadium, and they were going nuts. And the only time you could actually tell it was full was when they were up doing the yes stuff for Brie Bella.
That was one of the most proactive times the audience was, by the way, that entire night, to your point, was the yes chants.
Yes, and again, those light poles that they put up in the thing, I have no idea why those were there. They're like trying to copy Intuit Dome where they had the Netflix premiere, but like it was like Temu version, and it made it look like your seats were empty. So at least they stopped with the yellow lights. But so we have that, and I bet if you ask the people that attended the event, they said that they would say they had a great time with this match. Yeah, we didn't have Bianca, but she was never promised, and I guess that's what a surprise would be. But who do we want to come in as a surprise? Trish Stratus, she's done that like every year. Is that really a surprise from now on? Lita, she basically does that every year. They're not going to fly to Saudi Arabia and get all this new gear made, because you need new gear if you're not like a regular women's wrestler, because you can't just wear your gear. I did like some of the women like Io Sky and Zelina. They wore like a onesie, and then they had their gear on top of it, so it almost just looked like that they were wearing their actual gear, which I appreciated more than some of the bodysuits personally. But I mean, dude, I'm a big Power Rangers Mark City, so for sure I like that. And even Io came out as the Yellow Ranger nod, so we love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. We also had Liv eliminating Raquel. We had that elimination of Charlotte and or was Alexa got eliminated?
Alexa Bliss. Yeah, Alexa was inadvertently eliminated, by the way, by her not friend, tag team partner, and then Last Legend eliminating the Queen.
Yeah. And so, okay, there wasn't surprise with the surprise, but guys, let me, whether you like the current NXT or you are blinders on because we love the black and gold, but there's like they said in Unreal last season, there are 5 good females in NXT for every 1 good male. And we might as well showcase them. My buddy had never even heard of Sol Ruca, even though I had to be like, she wrestled on Cena's last. Cena died on his sword, so Sol could be introduced to us, and you didn't know about her. And then he said the same thing about
lost to her, by the way, might I add. Billy lost to her.
Right. And then he also said the same thing about Oba, where I'm like, bro, Cena did this on purpose so you guys could see them, and you didn't even remember seeing them. But Sol impressed. And I think that that's the whole point of this, right? You got people in front of people. Lola Vice came out. That was a surprise to me. It's about dang time. Yes, but you had, that kind of thing does happen. But still, I popped hard. That was like the first pop I had. I mean, a little pop when I was like, oh, Alexa's going to be facing Charlotte, and they would try to do each other's moves to each other, but then stop. That was fun and pretty new. Usually they just team up or they don't. This time they're like, I can hit you with this. I'm not going to do it. So that those things were surprising to me. The thing I hated the most, even more than Brie Bella before Tiffany, was Kairi Sane. Like, you knew she was coming out. I hate these people we know are going to be in it that come out super late. It's like, I want to feel surprised. And I'm not going to feel surprised when I see Asuka in there. She clearly needs help. She got everybody else's tag team is basically ganging up on her. Like, and then Kairi comes in. Oh, yeah. And by the way, Kairi eliminated Asuka. Like, so those are surprises, but not the traditional bringing back Mae Young type of surprises that we've had in decades past. So we didn't get R-Truth in the Ladies Rumble this year. They've already done that. But I definitely think that theoretically, like, put it in the chat, like, who would realistically have appeared in the Women's Rumble that would fly to Saudi, get new gear for potentially one-off and not continue wrestling with the company. So But I digress. We'll go to the thing. So let's see who
So
picked.
back to now you got your little. I like when Gino rolls up the sleeves and lets you know what it means to actually be surprised or give us worthwhile booking. It keeps it real. You talk about Unreal being a reality show. This is as real as it gets, folks, and I love it. And yeah, again, you got to consider two words you keep saying: Saudi Arabia. We are literally in Saudi Arabia. By the way, if you're on Twitch, you're not going to see the YouTube comments. If you're on YouTube, you're not going to see the Twitch comments unless I bring them up on screen because there are two different engines, folks. Just saying. But thank
Or
you
if
all.
they're on my stream versus somebody else versus your stream.
But regardless, subscribe to Papa Gino. It's not about me. It's about my brother. And for me, it's about wrestling and analysis and data tracking. Appreciate y'all as always. But that being said, again, the surprise factor is what it is, but also Saudi Arabia, it definitely is what it is. But anyway, now we talk about the entrance. Let's go ahead and look more at the picks because, again, virtually everybody did guess Liv Morgan correctly, except Michael Peters.
Yep, and that's the thing, right? Liv Morgan was the only person that was minus money in the betting. So that means for those who don't actually bet, you don't get when you're plus money, you have a plus next to the payout that you actually get more in return than you put in. Whereas if you're minus money, you get less than what you put in. So if you put $5, you get like 7 total back, which is 5 plus 2. You know what I mean?
Basic math, folks.
Yes. So and then so she was the only one who was minus money, which meant it would have had to taken like an injury or something for her not to win. But the other 2 people were Bianca, who was never even announced. I don't know how you're going to bet on somebody winning that wasn't announced, but I put her I was between her and Paige for 30, so I kind of fall into that boat. Chelsea Green, I love that pick, David, because I was right there with her as my 1 point wild card. We kind of used the 1 point as a wild card
at this point. Yes, let's be honest here,
because it's usually 1 or 2. And Rhea was the second best odds, so hitching your wagon to Rhea, but to not include Liv at all.
David, Michael, and Jerry.
Tough. That's tough.
Womp womp.
That's a tough thing. Yeah, David, Michael, Jerry. That's a tough thing. We'll have to see how it goes moving forward. But yeah, I mean, and then the number 2. So some people had Liv as their second pick, but they had either Bianca or Rhea in front, which would be good picks. But at least they hedged their bets.
Yeah, well, the way I see it is this. When we look at the Rumble, who do we want to win? The biggest powerhouse, the most deserving, the most unexpected. That's the way I rank it when it comes to those 3. Again, Liv Morgan, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Most Royal Rumble experience. 9th time was finally the freaking charm for her, as she's been in every one of them, and she's been literally the runner-up in at least 2 of them, to my knowledge. Rhea Ripley, she already won it. Bianca Belair, she already won it. If she came back from injury, okay, probably can justify it because everyone's waiting for EST versus JADE. Is it going to happen? Don't know yet. Stay tuned. As far as Rhea, she's now in a tag team with Io. She started off last year as champion, guys. She doesn't have to be always in the championship picture, top singles-wise. Jordan Grace still has yet to do something, but it sounds like they're trying to feud her with Jade, so maybe we'll actually get a powerhouse bout that will mean something to both those women's WWE careers. Just saying. And as far as Chelsea, you can't tell me there's a more entertaining, straight-up business, worthwhile person on my screen for the women of WWE than Chelsea Green right now, who should be the leader of America, and Alba Fire needs a pay raise. But either way, if Liv Morgan was not going to win this year, then I almost wonder, why does she keep going? Like, seriously, why does she keep going? It had to be Liv's time. And obviously, a lot of people were confident in that fact. I guess some people were still a little bit skeptical to WWE focusing on, brought to you by Wingstop, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, but it is what it is. And the fact that Liv eliminated Raquel, and Raquel is challenging Stephanie tomorrow for the Women's Heavyweight Championship. You imagine this WrestleMania match becomes Raquel versus Liv instead of Stephanie versus Liv. Just saying. But Liv was the right choice overall.
Absolutely. And due to the fact that Raquel has what seems is basically having a feud with Stephanie Vaquer, due to the fact that Jordan Grace has a feud right now with Jade, like I wasn't gonna put them on my list. So I did pick for Bianca number 2 to potentially win.
Same.
But she was not announced. So here I am saying, how could you go with somebody who wasn't announced? you can do it as a surprise entrant, number 30, because I believe number 30 should be that surprise, and it should have ended up being Brie Bella. But a lot of people want Bianca, or the hedged their bets with Ripley. See, I didn't think Ripley was going to get it. She's a current tag team champion. She's got her thing. She doesn't need to win the Royal Rumble. Rhea Ripley's always going to, if I want a title shot, she's going to get it. Liv kind of, and the Rumble as a whole, at least growing up, it was like, this is a path for somebody who's not usually in that conversation, or being held down by Mr. McMahon in Austin's case, right, to get that opportunity. And that was and you wanted, it's still they say main event, even though the graphic said title match at Mania. The announcers are saying main event. We know it's not going to be the main event, especially after last year the Royal Rumble winner opened the show. So stop saying main event. But my buddy's like, well, what happened in the men's match? You said that's the main event. You don't have a problem with that. I'm like, that's because Roman Reigns is going to be the main event, so you can call it the main event. Unless Liv is going to end night one as the main event. You just don't call it the main event. You have a title match.
You could have a main event on night one and main event on night two, but the main event would have to be the match of the whole weekend of the show. But this is what's wrong when you have 2 nights of the biggest spectacle. That being said, think about this, Gino. The main event of freaking night 2 was the women's World Heavyweight Championship, and then blew most of that night out of the water, and it was the opener. So it's more so at this point about your match feels main event. You're just not going to be the closer. But personally, I would like to see a women's world championship close one of the nights of WrestleMania. And in this case, I think Liv versus Blank should justifiably do it on night 1 at this point.
Sure. And I get that. I know we're talking a little bit about how WrestleMania exists in the current state of WWE and stuff. But for me, if the title's not on the line, and the event isn't and the match isn't ending one of the nights, to me, but it's still like something that you look forward to. It's a match that you want to see. I consider that a marquee match, right? It's not a main event because it's not a main event. It's a marquee. It's one of the marquee matches on the card. And I'm not talking necessarily like at you. I'm just saying, like, I wish WWE would address it as such, because that's the reality of it. The UFC's not calling it 2 main events, right? Boxing is not calling it 2 main events, like, unless it's 2 nights. So, like, when you have a card, it's the pre-main event, whatever. So with that, in regards to that, I feel like if it's going to be for the title, then you call it a world title match, right?
True,
which speaks for itself, right? That means it's marquee.
The principle of the Royal Rumble, though, they've always said will go on to main event WrestleMania. So until they reinvent how they sell that principle, the words are going to fall on deaf's water. But I do agree, and I also agree with Kevin in the chat. I'm just giving the benefit of the doubt that if the winner of the Royal Rumble earned that opportunity, and you're trying to sell it as such, you should justify it in the booking. Whether or not the quality meets the marketing is a whole different fan's opinion. But at the end of the day, why do people in WWE work around this 24/7, 365 all the time? For that WrestleMania moment. And Liv's finally getting hers for the first time ever.
Absolutely. And to address Kevin in the chat, if they spend the next 2 months, Dom comes back, maybe Raquel wins the title, and then is starting to flirt with Dom, similar to that Rhea situation. Liv can start to get pissed. Maybe the Judgment Day kick her out, type of thing. Maybe Dom breaks up with her.
The Judgment Day to kick each other out at this point. Good grief.
I think that there's still mileage to be had, but I don't want to go against Aaron so much. But I'm saying the storyline makes you care more. Right now, Liv versus Raquel is not a WrestleMania Night 1 main event worthy match. But if we have that vitriolic hate towards each other, that the tea, as the ladies call it, like, that could be something that's built up. I mean, you could look back and be like, well, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Usos isn't, but no, it is a main event because it had the story, because it was built off the bloodline storyline and Sami betraying. So if there's betrayal and intrigue and drama, bro, that can be worthy of a main event. So we have time to get there.
You gotta sell at the end of the day. You gotta sell. But the bottom line, as far as the Women's Rumble goes, pretty much most people were on point. Some were looking towards a return from injury. and you got butt kiss. But I do think Raquel and Liv is something that can happen. But here's one thing I don't need. Can we please try and be more original and stop booking triple threats? Please. Good Lord.
So before we move on, I do want to
Sure.
just ask you about that, because to me, the 2 triple threat matches were the highlights of WrestleMania last year,
They
in my opinion.
were, but at the end of the day, WrestleMania, I look for biggest stories one-on-one. And I feel like you should judge by your grandest stage, the biggest champions, the biggest players, the most earned opportunity of players should be one-on-one. Yes, they were the best story and the best matches across the double marquee, but I want to see them justify a top singles picture like they did at 40 night 2 and 41 night 2 outside the guy that we don't talk about. I just think world championship matches should matter and be booked mostly as one-on-one at WrestleMania versus any other stage.
Okay. And I'm totally on board with that. I just wanted to throw that out there and see how we feel about that. And also, in years past, there was the excuse, well, we're trying to get everybody on the card for that WrestleMania payday. Now when you got 2 nights, you have the opportunity to have more one-on-ones, which gets more people on the card. And then they're doing SmackDown is basically like WrestleMania pre-show-esque stuff. So,
but yeah, wrong.
Exactly. But so one last thing on the Royal Rumble for the women's is people thought Raquel was going to win. So there's some intrigue and some speculation that Raquel's going to be in a title picture going into WrestleMania. And I think it's because of the Liv Morgan Judgment Day storyline. And then you have people thinking Jordynne Grace, maybe Alexa Bliss. I love Alexa, maybe more than anybody in the company. And she's not going to be sniffing the world title picture for a while, if ever again, unfortunately. She's like AJ Styles, where it's like she's going to put on great matches. She's awesome, but they're just not going to bring her to that point. Now,
speaking of
AJ Styles, yes, thank you, Noah.
Jeez.
So 14 out of 19 people picked the ring general to retire AJ Styles. Noah and I, so far, we're right on the money together with who we think is going to win. We had the ring general here, ring general there. And there's nothing against thinking that AJ Styles was going to win that. As I said on the predictions video, you can go check that on No DQ's YouTube channel after you're done here, of course.
Keep plug.
I mentioned that all the things that they're doing, the Shinsuke post, the AJ talking to the crowd after Raw, CM Punk giving him his flowers, all this stuff. And it's like, that sets up for a perfect swerve. But sometimes things are as they appear. And for this one, I was way more in the belief that he was retiring at Rumble because it was 10 years to the day and it's poetic, than why even do the stipulation, right? We're all suspected that after Gunther beat Cena that he was going to retire AJ. So why even put a stipulation on the line if for what? So he can beat Gunther and then what? Like he has some more time? No, sorry. They were squeezing matches out of him, getting a Shinsuke, getting all this stuff. Like it was like crammed in, and it was crammed because AJ didn't renew his contract. Say what you want about Triple H booking him to lose. Say what you want about anything. When you're done wrestling, you lose. How many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old man? Like people are complaining that you don't go out on your back. Yes, the heck you do, bro. You do. And that's AJ, he did what people thought Cena should have done and not give up, but instead just pass out. So it was beautiful storytelling, except for the people who thought AJ was going to win. I personally thought there was going to potentially be AJ wasn't going to win, but he wasn't going to lose. Maybe it was like a draw or a DQ or something fishy. And I'm glad that they did it how they did it. Noah, anything to add as to why you went with the ring general?
Again, if Gunther came back to retire the GOAT and went back to his original black and gray roots, they're not having him lose after 3 months. And AJ Styles has done everything there is to do in WWE. And I think a decade career is a justified way to end things if you've been in this business for 26 years. Following this man for all the independents and TNA and New Japan Pro Wrestling and ROH appearances, I didn't think he had nothing else that he needed to give. And I think that this just further boosts the identity that they're trying to push with Gunther as the career ender and the career killer. It was a hard-fought match all the way where AJ Styles did not let up. We even had a little bit of a drawback where Gunther had desperation with the low blow, so that was a nice touch, but AJ survived that. And at the end of the day, AJ kept fighting, but could not escape the sleeper hold. As we saw, the arm drop down and AJ's career was put to sleep. Quite literally. For me, though, it comes down to who's going to remain here versus who you want to still be here. Temporary versus longevity. There is no telling how much longer we're going to deal with the Lean General Gunther, but right now he is the standard that WWE is putting forward as far as the guy to beat in professional wrestling. And if they're going to keep that moniker up, no matter how simple or bored some might be seen with it, he can't lose. So I had to go with Gunther here on those reasons alone. Not to mention, the Lean General right now, there's a reason why it calls the mat is sacred. And I don't think they would have rushed this if AJ was not going to stop being in WWE. Dude's damn near 50. Sometimes the wrestler goes beyond the ring. He wants to be there for his family, for those moments. And that's also a reason why I went with it. Again, Gunther right now is the guy you got to deal with whether you like it or not. AJ's done everything he needs to. The stage he started, the stage here that ends it, 10 years, sounds like full circle to me. Tanahashi, Goldberg, John Cena, Michael Satomura, Nane Takanishi, they all ended the same way. Put in the other person over and flat on the mat, looking up at the lights, saying thank you to the end to all fans.
100%. 100%. And people are mentioning in the chat. Now, this isn't the last we're going to see of AJ wrestling at all, right? He did mention it's the end of a WWE career, and Gunther did that. You know, it was really well told. And finally, Gunther has actually earned his name, the career killer. Because if you're wrestling somebody's last match, no matter what, when we already know it's their last match, whether they win or lose, you're not really killing a career. Yeah, you could say making Cena tap out, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, Goldberg, but we knew Goldberg wasn't winning no WWE World Heavyweight Championship on his last match and retiring with it. We knew Cena was a company guy. He wanted to give back, and he wants to give to the next generation. That's why he let Brock destroy him multiple times, mind you. And but Gunther actually killed a career. This is the first time there's been a career on the line, and he's done it now, because you can't call him that and really have him not having killed a career. So now he's earned that moniker, and they're going to start to use that a lot more. Now, speaking of somebody who potentially might have their career killed or might not, depending on what happens next year, we have the WWE Disputed Championship, because we can't call it undisputed when there's literally another champion and they're literally talking back and forth to each other. Punk's on the pre-show saying, "I'm right here, Drew," and all these things. So we had Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn, the ultimate underdog, and he's going to remain the ultimate underdog at least until whatever the date is of the Royal Rumble next year. But only one person picked Sami Zayn to win, and that same person also picked AJ Styles to win. Ouch. So it was a rough middle of the card for our man Songo Shuaku. We love him. He's got the great takes, and he's one of the no DQ long timers, so we respect him. But here, you know, the dark green is blaringly obvious, and it stinks. But it's the beginning of the year. We got plenty of time for him to make up those points. Fortunately, there's only 1 point to be earned here. Drew McIntyre just had the title. There was an off chance to me that Sami could win in Saudi, but if he wasn't going to finish the show, then why have him win? There's a better story if he had maybe come back and won the Rumble, or for next year's WrestleMania to maybe main event. So we'll get there. I picked Drew McIntyre. DM Hunk is way too early, and he's way too good. He wasn't losing. Noah, why did you pick Drew?
You literally took the words out of my mouth. First defense, first time he's defending the championship in front of people, doing it for himself. Him being champion resets the traditional landscape of Cody Rhodes, always at the top. And Sami Zayn, yeah, he's welcome, of course, for his culture. It was a babyface for them that got the reaction. And then, again, following the Edge Styles Grouper match, it did kind of deflate the crowd, or whatever crowd was actually there. It was a great moment for Sami. The long-term history of Sami and Drew, of course, being undefeated in 11 singles matches prior. Drew McIntyre hasn't lost to Sami. Sami hasn't lost in Saudi Arabia now, 4-0, now 4-1. And Sammy, our little, underdog from the underground, he fought through pain and adversity, especially verbal adversity, when it came to his, strength as a father and also value as a competitor, according to Drew McIntyre. Took 4 Claymores, but this just felt like, to me, pretty dang obvious. Like I said, I did reference in the past the title's changed hands at the Royal Rumble and has been changed again, literally at Elimination Chamber. Your boy John Cena is the definition of that for me against AJ Styles in that incredible time that year in 2017, ahead of WrestleMania 33. But I didn't see that happening here. There's a reason Drew McIntyre said he was bored at work for the duration of last year. Kept losing, kept losing, kept losing. They were not going to run Cody Drew 6 for Drew to finally win the championship, for him to lose in his first dang defense. Heck no. I had to go with Drew here. Sorry, Sammy. As far as the idea of Sammy pulling a Cody, getting his story in Saudi Arabia next year at Saudi Mania, it seems way too obvious of a red herring to think about that far right now. So I'm not thinking like that. I'm just thinking that Drew deserves a chance to run with the championship in front of people, despite his disposition.
100%. And he very much could be sitting at that poker table, should have probably been sitting at that poker table. But when they made that stupid commercial that they keep running, and they have been running since like October, it was Brock had just come back, CM Punk was there, Roman. So it was like, I get those 4 guys, but like you could have had Drew there. You could have had even Braun Breaker, you know what I mean? But like, whatever. I'm not going to hate on that commercial anymore, even though they're giving me reason to. But yeah, Drew is easily up there with all of those guys. He really is. He could hang with Brock Lesnar. He's bigger than Roman Reigns. I'm not talking about as a superstar. I'm just talking about as a human being. And in wrestling, that accounts for something. And he's great on the mic. He's great with the in-ring storytelling. He almost did the reverse of like the Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, when he was like, instead of it's like, I'm sorry, I love you, it's like, I'm not sorry, I hate you. Claymore.
When you watch this. Why he was literally on his last legs, just killed him.
Exactly. And that is the storytelling that you want in wrestling. And we're going to see Sammy's not going to be able to live this one down for a while. And I think we might even see him turn heel for a little bit and kind of start trying to an aggressive approach, but we'll see. That's way too early predictions. So it was 1 person got it wrong, 18 out of 19. There you go. Sorry.
This was obvious. Seriously, son. What the heck you thinking, bro?
I mean, there was an outside chance because he's never lost in Saudi. And that pre-show interview was very, I'm doing it tonight. But we had already had our predictions in by then. I might have thought about switching. I'm glad I just went with Drew, because at a certain point, you got to pick what makes the most sense. And no matter what, whether we know that Triple H likes the pops or whatever, we know about stuff we shouldn't know because WWE Unreal arguably shouldn't exist. But this is the right call. It's got to be Drew, because if he lost here clean, like, what? He beats Cody in 3 stages of hell, but can't beat Sammy clean when Sammy's done nothing good and never beat him. I don't know, man. We're going to have to try something else. So that was that. And now we move on to the main event, the Men's Royal Rumble. It's been the main event, whether it ends the show or not, right? Call back to earlier in the video. Is that? Oh, okay. So we picked, again, entrant number 1, entrant 30, and nobody got entrant 1 correctly, and only 2 people got entrant 30 correctly, both in the men's and the women's match. So well done. It just happened to be 2 different people. So I picked, I going into this, I had Braun Breaker, but that's because of the stupid I had Penta on Thursday, and then the graphic on Friday that said Braun Breaker number 1. So then I switched to Braun Breaker, but then on the pre-show, he was announced as number 2. And then Gilbert didn't get the memo or didn't respond in time to change the pick. But I know that was infuriating, more infuriating for you than it was for Adam Pearce and Paul Heyman, because you had to make all of these changes, because with money on the line, we have to make sure that this is fair and legit, because if somebody hadn't put their picks in until that thing, whatever.
I mean, it wasn't even about the money. Again, it's the love of predictions, but it's also the integrity of not treating the fans as stupid when they're just trying to having fun with the business. I personally reached out to everybody that had Braun Breaker as their number one entrant to F and change it. And as we saw, he was indeed number 2. Look who was number 1, by the way, folks. Good Lord.
Honestly, you could have gone 2 ways with the number 1. After knowing that Braun was number 2, you could have gone somebody who's going to give him a back and forth that he's had a feud with, like Penta. Like I picked Penta, even though he was 1 or 2 last year. I probably should have expected them to do something different. But Oba, the way he walks to the ring, it almost just makes sense that he would be number 1, because you can't come out later and there's people in the ring to beat up, right? When you're Oba and there's nobody to beat up, you get to do your walk. And boy, am I high on Oba. And now my friend who didn't know Soul and didn't know Oba going into this, now they know them. And this is why you bring the younger stars versus the older stars just to get eliminated and whatever. Most of them are actually retired now. So the people who wanted super surprises, you wanted people who don't wrestle anymore to come back and wrestle. People were saying Stone Cold this and blah, 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 that. I'm like, guys, let's be realistic. Don't let your speculation become expectation, because that's what makes you all upset.
Well said.
It is. So go back to the other graphic there. So nobody had it right, but people were thinking Jey Uso because, he's got to yeet on his way, but we had that in the middle of the match, which makes him look like an idiot. But it's on brand because he's playing to the crowd. That's his thing. He did that at War Games as well. So
and
it's almost right. So there's a precedent to be had that he comes out in the middle of something and runs it back, because the crowd wants him to run it back. It was super deflating to have something happen with Brock Lesnar during the entrance, even though Brock Lesnar interrupted his entrance last time. But this time he got eliminated. Like the production of the Rumbles wasn't the best. They missed clear shots that you could tell they wanted to get.
Oh yeah.
Like and even after you could see the ref telling Liv to point to the thing, but they already set off the fireworks. So we let Liv pointing with no fireworks, and Roman Reigns had to be reminded, and he's pointing right at the end of the fireworks. So there were a little bit of production flubs for sure, but that didn't take away from the Rumble, because I don't give a crap if WWE gets the shot as long as I know what's happening, the type of thing. So the 2 people who picked Gunther were Gilbert, who maybe he would have picked Oba if he changed it from Braun. So there's something interesting there. And Caitlin, our winner from last year, got the bonus point from Gunther. And these bonus points, fellas, there was 5 bonus points we could have had, and that's where it started to add up. That's where the points started to differentiate between the top of the pack and the middle of the pack there.
Because 18 people called, of course, the Tribal Chief winning, because there's no way in hell Roman calling his shot was going to lose the Royal Rumble. Tribal Chief losing again? No.
That wouldn't be smart.
No.
So you picked Randy Orton to go in the number 1 entry. I'm presuming it's because of how long his entrance takes.
Yeah, seeing the freaking Viper down to the ring. He's the last of the old guard that Cooper hasn't killed yet. He's also a guy that, much like Cody, it seems like that literally just fell underneath, people's windshield. If he won, it would have been his 3rd Royal Rumble, lest we forget. It wasn't just about Cody going for a 3-peat here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I went Orton.
And that's a very smart thing to do, right? And that's why people went Jay, and that's why some people, and other people went Randy. Cody would have gotten a big pop. Priest kind of has a slow entrance. But if you look at the pattern that you're seeing for 30, and this is what I've been saying all stream and for as long as I can remember, 30 is that number that hits big.
Yep.
The issue was they weren't going to bring somebody, for me, it wasn't going to be somebody that's already announced. I thought going into
you sure
the
about
night,
that?
You're not gonna take because when you get 29 and it's not somebody that's already been announced, and there's still one person that's been announced to be in it at 30, you'd already know what's going to happen. And that's flipping infuriating for me. I will roll my sleeves up and to the point where they're inside out across the other arms over that. So But this is here to break down the predictions. Two people, again, got that right. See, I picked Jericho. Somebody picked Finn Balor because that would have been a surprise. Powerhouse Hobbs, who was kind of announced, not really, also would have been is a surprise type of thing.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar was announced kind of, which is dumb because I have
that
to.
McAfee show via FaceTime call, by the way.
Which is, I get it, it's cool, but like, you're there. Like, why should I have to watch the Pat McAfee show to get that information? Why should I have to see that on social media? Like, as a viewer of 9 hours, up to 9 hours of WWE television a week, I would like what I'm watching to be like them to give me stuff while I'm watching, not end the show in the middle of a brawl and do all this extra replays and whatever. Like 5 minutes of commercials every break. Like, tell me that Brock's going to be there, or don't.
Well,
or
that's
just
WWE
don't.
right now. At the end of the day, this is what WWE's become. It's not about giving you a straight line answer to everything. It's about encouraging you to watch everything. So now WWE truly is global, not across the world, but all forms of media. If you want updates, they expect you to keep up with them on every platform possible that they can cover something, or you're just crap out of luck.
And that's what makes the predictions so difficult, is because I got to go check all the social media, Reddit, everything, trying to see.
I just go off my own intuition. I'll just go ahead and say it right now. I don't scroll, I don't read into, I don't find the reports, I don't follow dirt sheets, and I damn sure don't freaking look at anyone else's predictions, including those that are submitted. When it comes to me, I go based on WWE matches for uploading the highlights so I don't have to watch USA and Netflix. And I actually go look at the show, SmackDown and Raw, and NXT for that matter, for clips that matter to me based on superstars I care about. And then based off that, I go off of, okay, what do I think WWE is going to do versus who do I think deserves to be declared the winner for a prediction or two? And that's how I go about my predictions, as you heard on the video, which is why I pretty much knew Roman had to be the winner and Jericho wasn't showing up. But we also knew, based on, again, hindsight 2020, you keep on referring to it, that trailer, that poker table, we heard it ad nauseum. Brock Lesnar was somehow going to show up, but he wasn't going to be the winner.
Absolutely. And again, you could say the same thing. Maybe Roman Reigns shouldn't have even been advertised, but like, I do get, you got to get people into the seats. And if that was true about the controversy of scalpers buying tickets and then upcharging, everybody said that the stadium was empty because it looked empty. And sometimes you got to use more than your eyes to see. And when you zoomed in and you actually saw it was full, it just looked like it was empty. And there were even people arguing in the no DQ chat, it's empty, they shouldn't have done this, blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, that's just the lighting. And then people were getting made fun of for saying that the lighting was doing it. So I was like, I'm glad I didn't get into that, because the lighting was definitely the issue there. That was full. But again, even some people thought Seth Rollins was going to appear at 30. Like, again, that's what you do with the surprise. Then I actually am so driven towards 30 being a surprise that I was like, maybe Gunther's not coming out. I know he's been announced. Who cares? Maybe it's going to be somebody else. And then he came out limping and whatever. But so 12 out of 19 correctly predicted, including you, me, and Aaron, Roman Reigns was going to win. You just can't bet against Roman Reigns.
No, you can't. Especially because right now there's no opposition to him. They're not going to run back. The division beats him down. Seth Rollins is out of play. And CM Punk and Roman have yet to go one-on-one since CM Punk returned to WWE. And it's just one of those things right now that the one thing I will say, I did hear from friends that Roman's been very vocal about the fact that WWE Creative has not pushed somebody for the future to his position. So it looks like I got to once again be the guy that you acknowledge to remind you what your place is if you want to be here. Not since Cody have we seen somebody with as much pop in circumstance as Roman Reigns, but still be just as consistent. Roman's back where he belongs. It makes perfect sense. No wise man, no bloodline. Just him. Hell, he eliminated his own family.
And speaking of eliminating your own family, about almost a fifth of the people picked Braun Breaker to win, probably because they think that they should be building new stars and whatever, but it sure smells like somebody in his Vision family interjected themselves into his Royal Rumble moment, and that really messed up the chat. Not only do we have most of us thinking he was coming out number one until that situation on the pre-show, but people picked him to win. People picked him second. There were people, nobody picked him third. So it was like, or one person picked him third. Like that really ruined a lot of people right off the bat.
14 people just in the team. And I'm not even talking about the entire pool, which was the Galaxy, where, again, shout out to the 60 of you that are in so far. I can't tell how many people have Braun Breaker at some point in their pool. Boy, did everyone's brackets get busted right then and there.
Yeah, and that's a tough thing to have happen. But so for me, and again, we talked about the Roman Reigns. They're not really building up top stars. You don't build up a new star through the Rumble, in my opinion. You build them up elsewhere, maybe through Money in the Bank. But the Rumble is where those top stars start to stake their claim. I think they realized last year with Jey Uso that maybe we shouldn't use this as a this is how we build new stars. Like you build new stars through storyline. Jey Uso won the Rumble and he didn't really increase his cachet. His brother was it took his brother getting bloodied right in front of him for him to really feel like, oh, I should probably try.
Well, I mean, it's like prior to that, to give Jey a little bit of credit, he did push himself to be a bigger guy on his own prior to the Rumble. You just said it yourself. The Rumble shouldn't be there just to make a new guy out the gate. They need to earn their way to the point that you believe, even if they win the Rumble, they can be more. And Jey did prove that to a degree last year. But the problem was he didn't focus on the championship. He focused on protecting his family and friends, which broke him in the end shortly after WrestleMania, courtesy of Gunther.
Right. And you could even argue that the worst Royal Rumble winner in history, Alberto Del Rio, who beat Santino, where Santino had done all that goodwill and everybody wanted Santino. Like you got to go with the person who has built themselves up organically and you feel like it would be something you would want to see versus, again, just you don't create stars. You can create stars in the Rumble through face-to-face interactions and performance in the match. When it comes to the winner, it's got to be one of your big 4 or 5 or 6. I'm not even going to say that other number. Yeah. So those types of people there. That's why you've got some people thinking maybe an LA Knight, things like that. I had Gunther as number 2. And when I had Roman Reigns and Gunther, as I knew I was getting at least 2 points, which felt really good to me. So I'm sure you
had a great chance.
Yeah, even though I wasn't happy to see him, I was kind of happy to see him. You know what I mean? You had Braun Breaker as your number 2. So if it was Gunther, this whole thing would have flopped on itself. And maybe Mr. Gino, Papa Gino is number 1 instead of looking up at Noah and the previous winners above me in the standings. Now these wild card picks, right? Aaron predicted correctly. Well, if Braun's coming in at number 2, he's not going to have a chance, so he switched to Oba. But little did he know Oba was coming in at 1, so then his thought process for Braun would then transitive over to So, but like, there's a lot of Jacob Fatu, yourself included. For me, I thought there was a small chance that Sami Zayn comes back in and ends the night winning after having been made to look weak against what had happened with Gunther it's not Gunther, Drew McIntyre in that match. Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of names on the screen to read and think about. So,
look they're all over the place. But at the end of the day, you look at the first graphic they gave of the Royal Rumble. Who was on it? It was Roman Reigns, it was Cody Rhodes, it was Jacob Fatu, and that was the majority until Braun Breaker was declared for the Rumble. But whatever direction they're doing with him coming out as number 2 and getting curb stomped to oblivion and eliminated immediately, your guess is as good as mine. By the way, Open Femi, great first impression. Still don't know where he belongs. Got 5 eliminations. Strong run in the forefront, at least the first half. But then he met Brock Lesnar, and pretty much that was it. Royce Keys, I'm happy for Powerhouse Hobbs. Again, the name out there for his daughter and for his mother, God rest her soul. That's respectable. And again, I think they made him look pretty strong. It's just one of those things right now, though. Jacob Fatu, Cody Rhodes, sound like a match that's going to happen. Then Drew Claymore Cody's head off to make sure that Cody didn't have a chance. And Jacob Fatu got eliminated by his own family. Where does Jason in all this? Okay, he's still a tag champion. There are some odder dynamics in this Rumble versus more consistency in what I think could happen for the women after their Rumble. This Rumble was a much more weirder bit. To your point, big guys, big guy. Well, Rusev, he's a big guy, but was eliminated in less than like 5 seconds. Damn. The main stars, the top tier, they went until the last freaking 5 or 6.
And to that point, and to the people who were mentioning that there wasn't a lot of surprises, right? You can't, and these are a lot of the people that were agreeing with Roman that they're not building new stars. So you're not really going to get a surprise that's a younger star, right? The surprise is that people want.
He's the youngest guy literally on the roster, and he did pretty well. Red Orton endorsing him as the future. Let's get, him
Sure.
credit.
But he wasn't a surprise entrant. Like when I hear people wanting surprises, I think that they want surprise entrants. The people who aren't announced should be, your Kevin Nashes of the world, your, guys who are still with your Stone Colds. People are probably even thinking maybe The Rock, right? Like Undertaker. I was hearing at the watch party.
Was pushing for The Rock so hard after this, and then you just got all of Rhea blowing up with fireworks.
And I was at 2 a.m. Bless their sleepy hearts there. But like that's what I'm saying. Like, give me a name that realistically is somebody who we know would travel outside of their own state, let alone outside of the country, to halfway across the world. Stone Cold doesn't leave Nevada. So guess where he's not going? On a plane to Saudi Arabia. So sorry guys. Taker, he really can't. Like, I mean, he's really sedentary these days. I don't know, and he already regrets doing the thing in Saudi. You really think he was coming back for that? Oh, they could pay him this, pay him that. I think people are realizing that the money wasn't necessarily worth the squeeze that it took. Oh, you got Shawn Michaels. People were even thinking about maybe a Triple H. It's like, bro, come on.
He's like sometimes seriously, folks, you can't
for real.
No.
So yes, Finn Balor should have been in there instead of a Rey Fenix or instead of a La Parka for sure. But the Grande and original Grande, like that like people had a problem with that. Like, are you kidding me? That was like another huge. That might have been the biggest pop for the men's Royal Rumble. Was that? Like, that was a surprise, guys. Whether you thought it was going to happen or not, that's a surprise. You got the guy who replaced him, and we know the story and the drama behind that, and that's going to lead to a WrestleMania match. Obafemi versus Brock. I called it as soon as I saw that happening because Gunther's going to retire Brock at SummerSlam, so why would you have them wrestle at WrestleMania? I know Aaron keeps saying it's going to be Gunther versus Brock because that's what was rumored 3 years ago before the scandal or whatever. But if he's going to retire him, he's not going to wrestle him at Mania and then lose and then get his rematch. No, Gunther's going to be and Oba and Brock are going to be in programs together where Brock is going to build Oba up. Gunther's probably going to fight against somebody else that he can potentially retire, like a Chris Jericho, it's not CM Punk yet, but there are guys who are closer to on their way out. Maybe he even, gets with some. I mean, Randy's not going anywhere, those types of things. But there are people that he can retire or have great matches with that it wasn't going to be Brock Lesnar. I never thought it was going to be Brock Lesnar. Plus, they were like going up to each other, but they respect each other so much because, I mean, Brock's not afraid of Oba, but Oba towers over Brock.
It's like crazy. It's crazy.
And then that's one of the problems with Royce Keys. First of all, I kind of wish that his last name had the second E between the Y and the S. I think it looks a little better, but whatever. I digress. I don't think, he's monstrous, but he's kind of he's short. And to me, that's more like a Bronson Reed, and a lot of people aren't as high on Bronson Reed as they are with maybe the lighter guys that are taller and have more stature, right? Like, I'm as tall as Bronson Reed. Like, he'll beat me 7 ways to Sunday for sure. But Hobbs is like, do I really care about people? Somebody mentioned in the chat, be grateful we have Hobbs and look at all these matchups we can get. With all due respect, I don't really care about Royce Keys fighting anybody. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Because he's not going to beat Oba. He's not going to beat Brock. He's not going to beat a Gunther. He might go up against Bronson Reed.
I mean, there's potential. It comes down also to how they build his identity in WWE. We don't know where he's going to go, much like we don't know where Femi's going to go. I was waiting to see all the Femi and Royce Keys actually mix it up a little bit more because I think there's a similar height and stature differential. But as far as this Rumble goes, Brock's still a genetic freak, and him and Ilya yelling at him while Brock yelling his face through him. Now I want Ilya Dragunov versus Brock Lesnar for some reason at WrestleMania. Maybe I'm just a glutton for punishment and want to see someone nearly die. I'm a masochist. And Ilya Dragunov lives off pain. So honestly, I think I'd rather see Ilya versus Brock versus Gunther at WrestleMania. As far as Gunther goes, you don't want to pigeonhole him in championship picture to be transitional on the next big stage to the next guy for a moment. This career killer identity, it saves him. Right now, he's the bridesmaid, though, of the Rumble. Now, 3 times, I believe, if I'm counting correctly, or 4. As, of course, it came down to him and Roman after Gunther eliminated Randy Orton. Maybe some foreshadowing for you there, Gino. Just saying. But overall, outside Roman, Jacob, Randy, Gunther, what the F happened to freaking Braun Breaker, Ilya Dragunov trying to run Russia, LA Knight going after the Vision. The rest of the field was kind of like meh to me. And I'm really hoping that Royce Keys gets all the best that he can. Him and Cody renewing hostilities. That was very interesting. Cody's going to go after Drew. We both know that. He's going to not stop until he gets Drew McIntyre again. Wouldn't surprise me if they try to run the Elimination Chamber to make sure he's removed from it altogether. But yeah, the bottom line, with all due respect to everybody here, this was a one-man Royal Rumble. You're not going to make Roman lose.
A one-man, one's to the sky. Again, we could have Jacob. There's a lot. That's what I love about the Royal Rumble. Whether you win or lose, you're setting yourself up, and then you're showing the fans and the people backstage when you have these face-to-face interactions how excited and we can be when we have people like Jacob Fatu coming out right after Roman came out, right? Yeah. Or we had Jey Uso doing his whole yeet thing, and Roman comes out, and then it's like, yeah, you're gone, pal. I gave you, yeah. I took a back seat last year so you could fumble the bag as bad as you did. You're gone.
You give him a chance, you're not getting a second chance. Roman's the guy that's like, you failed me once, I'm going to show you how it's done. To your point, look at that. Jey, Roman, Jacob, back to back to back.
Back to back, yeah.
Roman eliminated both.
And again, say what you want about Roman saying that they're not building new stars, whatever. If Triple H or Khan or whoever comes to you and tells you we're having you go over the Rumble, you're going to say, no, let's build new stars. He probably did that last year with Jey Uso. So he's not going to say, he's going to be, yes, that's right. It should be me, night 2. I am the night 2 king. I am the new Mr. WrestleMania. Deal with it. Everybody's going to love me regardless, even if you don't think I should have won. So, I mean, why would he do that? And then doubling back to who I thought was going to be at number 30.
That didn't work out for you so well, did it?
I almost switched. I almost put 30 Jericho and no, he wasn't appearing. But like, first prediction of the new year, first one in the 2026. I wanted to be consistent with what I thought. And that sometimes you got to hedge your bets a little bit. Because I literally almost clicked no. That way, if he does appear at 30, I get the point. But part of me was like, well, I don't know. He might appear earlier. I don't know. I almost went Seth Rollins instead of Chris Jericho. Like, technically, I mean, all right. Technically, if they say that Jericho was the man in the mask, you might have to retroact all of this because he did appear during the Rumble match, but I don't know if that falls into the rules. I think I remember you sending the actual rules. It was appears for the match, like as an entrant. So maybe I'm just holding out hopeful thinking, but
you're just reaching out for straws, bro. It's about if Jericho was going to be an entrant in the Rumble, and clearly people mostly went with yes, and it bit them in the ass. Yeah,
well, maybe Jericho is one of the Grande Americanos because we have no idea who they are. We'll have to see.
No, we're not going down that road. Look at Kaiser Chad Gable. Stop this identity Spider-Man crisis, all right?
Stop this nonsense right now.
Please, damn it.
Oh, man. But Roman Reigns, number 26 in the year 2026.
How ironic.
Is your winner. Gunther, runner-up again. So, as much as I would say Sammy's going to win next year, I think Gunther also has a chance to win next year. But that's way too early Rumble predictions. We'll get there.
Randy Orton number 3, by the way, folks. So there you go. But still, interesting. Oba and Royce, give me this one-on-one. Ilya and Brock. I want to see if Ilya can survive Brock. And then there was everybody else.
I think that Royce is going to get fed to Fatu potentially. I think that You could do all of those types of things. LA Knight's going to have a big match there. So we'll have to see. I think Trick Williams is a freaking star, bro. He's like, I know you don't watch football, but bear with me. Terrell Owens, he's a Hall of Fame wide receiver. You've probably heard the name. You know, he was the guy who was doing sit-ups in his front yard when he's being interviewed. Like, that's the vibe I get from Trick Williams. Like, I'm the best of the best of the best, even though I haven't really done anything. I haven't won a championship or whatever.
And
but
Cody
Trick Williams
literally eliminated him immediately.
It did, but still, there are some people like The Miz who are loss proof. Like Trick Williams can lose every match, get thrown out in 2 seconds, as long as he doesn't beat Santino's record, who I also thought had an outside chance of appearing in the Rumble just to get eliminated even quicker because he told CVV this year that he knows how he could do it. And there's a partnership with TNA, but maybe that's for in this. Again, if this was in the States or in Canada or even in Mexico, I think that there was a better chance of these surprises that we want happening. You know, it's a lot of work to just show up and come there, get ready, whether you're a woman or a man, get a hotel, do all that stuff just to go over the top rope at freaking 1:30 in the morning, right?
Accurate.
So like all of that has to go into what you're thinking about with these surprises. So let's go ahead and bring up and see where we rank. I know where you rank. It's somewhere arriba. Yeah.
Well, again, Aaron and I right now are tied. There's an alphabetical order. The red, of course, are the high rollers. The other ones are the preliminaries, but hey, everyone's team no DQ. So currently right now,
there we
Aaron
go.
Are the ones that are ruling you all. Caitlin and Steve-O and TJS at 9. You got 8. So you are in the top 3 tier, but you're in the bronze league right now with Uthman, Gilbert, and Dwayne. But still, we're one event in, and last year there was 12 events. And as I show the galaxy between our team and the galaxy, there are currently about 80 people involved so far overall in this year's league. So kudos to everybody. Rob Green, Spiky Hauer also tying for the highest score. No perfects. Even AI couldn't be decisive enough to figure out the perfect entrance for 1 and 30. So it only got 9 points overall, but still pretty good across the board for a lot of people for the kickoff to the WPLE League of 2026. So hope everyone continues to follow along. Next stop, Elimination Chamber in Chicago. Stay tuned.
So let's pull up the big money one in order. There we go. Perfect. So we have toyed with the idea of using an AI. I'm not sure which one that you're using, Noah, but with those bonus points, maybe we just ask them to pick one and then whatever one they pick, because it would be cool to see where people fall in relation to what AI thought in this thing. Maybe we could do that moving forward. But so I got 8, and you would get 8 if you were right about every single match.
Correct.
But the people who got more than that were the ones who were right with every single match and got either a bonus point with the Jericho or a entrant 1 or 30. Exactly. And then the people who are at 10 got 2 bonus points, and that was a combination of the Jericho point and an entrant 30.
Correct.
So there was the only entrant bonus points that were awarded were the 4 for number 30 for the men's and for the women combined. And then a lot of people had the Jericho. But if you had Jericho correctly and you were one of those 4 people that picked 30 correctly in either Rumble, then you were catapulted yourself up to the top. Let's just hope that you didn't pick somebody else to other than Roman Reigns or Liv Morgan, because that would have been just silly. You can't really go that much against the betting odds at this moment in the predictions league. So we're about done here with this breakdown, guys. How did you do? What do you think? Did you guys get it right? Did you get it wrong? Do you like our analysis? Do you think that some of the things we got wrong we weren't thinking clearly about? Do you think some of the things we got right we were thinking clearly about, or maybe we backed into some lucky type of thing? However you think, let us know in the comment section below, whether you're watching on my video or whether you're watching on Noah's. I know I can speak for Noah when I say we really freaking enjoy doing this for you guys. And we're going to do our best to deliver this review, this post-mortem of predictions earlier in the week than we did last year. No longer are they going to be on Wednesdays. We are going to be trying for Sundays except for those 2-night events. We'll be doing it on Monday before Raw. So that way you guys have the opportunity to digest and really chew the fat on these results before the next storytelling opportunity is had for AEW, sometimes NXT, and WWE. And you would do predictions for all the other leagues too. We just don't break them down here.
Yeah.
But yeah, reach out to Noah. Noah's the absolute GOAT when it comes to this. I wouldn't want to be doing this with anybody else but Noah. So thank you so much for allowing me to nerd out with you and talk these statistics while we file this and lay it to rest in the server room and archive it.
I decided to upgrade from the friggin' library underground, modernize things here, because after all, I work on computers for a living. I'm IT.
And we love that. So yeah, if you're watching a Noah stream, come check me out. Give me a like and a follow. It would mean the world to me at PapaGino0017 across all the stuff. But don't be mean, because if you're going to come at me in one of my personal socials, you're going to get roasted, and then you're going to delete your original comment. So there's no point in wasting your time with that, like somebody did when I commented on Aaron's video or Aaron's thing this morning. So just save yourself the trouble and don't go back and forth with me. I am very much like Virtue in that I will put you in your place. I might just be a little nicer about it until I'm not. So, but we really appreciate it. And if you're watching my video, I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, subscribe. It's fun and it's free. And also go check out The Simple Man, as I am the complex man. Go check out The Simple Man, Noah Foster. Noah, where can the people find you?
If people wish to find me, they can find me at Imposter916 on X and on YouTube. Again, I do these prediction post-mortems for the statistical analysis following the show. I run the predictions leagues. I cover and commentate almost every big show, it seems, across my Super Labo Studios family. And you might see me regularly on the Nordic Review, just discussing, providing my 2 cents towards the topics that Gino, Virtue, and Colin bring forward, it seems. But as always, I hope that nothing else, I'm just here to remind you and encourage you that there are no winners, no losers, no betters, just fans, no opinions, this passion we all share. Statistically or not, let's just remember to respect one another, support each other, protect your mentality too, treasure your families, enjoy your life, and enjoy professional wrestling. It is truly as simple as that, especially when it comes to just simply predicting. Damn it.
Absolutely. And again, whether you were happy with the show, whether you were disappointed with the show, like, you're totally entitled to your opinion, whether I disagree with you or not, whether Noah disagrees with you or not. We're all allowed to have our opinions on what we want to see. I do want to reiterate, it's tough to let your expectation or your speculation become expectation. So, maybe do a good job at tempering that. I know that affected me also in my predictions. So that does happen. Yeah. So sometimes you got to take the emotion, take your speculation out of it, and just enjoy the ride. The Rock's taking you on, darn it. Even though we don't mention his name, but you just got to enjoy the ride. And people weren't hyped going into this event. The build wasn't there. The blah, 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 blah. We heard that every single premium live event last year, the build stuck.
That's a consistent statistic. That's not anything that's like, illogical data.
Right. But what then has been proved time and time again is that for the most part, those events with the bad builds, which is every event apparently, they deliver.
It's not that bad.
They're gonna do. Yeah, you might have some things you wish or whatever. You wish somebody rose from the grave to go appear at number 30 or whatever. Like, come on, like let's be realistic with some of our thoughts. And I love talking wrestling with all of you guys, Noah especially. Man, it is an absolute blast and a pleasure. I cannot overstate that enough. We won't be doing predictions until after the Super Bowl. Go Patriots! I know we just lost some viewers when I said that. It's okay. Sometimes it's lonely being right. So, Noah, thank you so much for allowing me to do this, and cheers to a new year of predictions, and may the odds be in my favor, but your favor as well.
It seems simple enough. We'll find out what happens. Show 1 down. I'm sure there's going to be 11 more to go. But until next time, folks, this has been the first Prediction Post-Mortem 2026, and statistically speaking, we will see on the Elimination Chamber, if not some other forum that we decide to do, because me and Gino are thinking about also having other types of discussions as well this year. So stay tuned. Again, for Papa Gino, I'm Noah Foster. We love statistics. We love wrestling. And at the end of the day, enjoy it. Enjoy it all. And we will see you next time here for Predictions Post-Mortem, as the Royal Rumble is officially filed away forever for 2026. Have a great day, folks. Make a positive impact in life as always. And, of course, as the day draws out You will soon enough, I hopefully have a good night as well. Goodbye.